friends, today I want to talk about all of the series that I started, finished and DNFed in 2019. This is another video that I really wanted to do to wrap up the year. This is another video that I really like looking back at to just kind of see, okay, what are the series that I have started that, might have released a sequel or that released the final book or whatever that I just really need to finish. So I definitely still wanted to put out this video. But yeah, I'm going to talk about all of the series that I started first, and those are the series that I am planning to continue as well. Then all of the series that I finished in 2019, and then at the end all of the series that I decided to DNF in 2019. Those includes both series where I might have read the first book in 2019 and then realized, oh, I'm not interested in reading the rest of the series. But this also includes books where, for example, the sequel came out, and I don't even know if I have one of those on this list this year, if I'm quite honest. But this also includes books where maybe the sequel came out this year and I realized I'm no longer interested in the series and decided to DNF it. But again, I'm not even sure if I have a series like that on my list this year. I'm not including books where I have read the first book in 2018 and then the second book came out in 2019 and it's a trilogy that's going to be finished this year. So I'm not going to include series that I've just made a progress in, either just ones that I started, finished, or DNFed. Okay, let's just get into the list. So first we have We Set the Dark on Fire by Taylor K. Mejia. I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be a duology. I feel like I keep having that in my head, that it is a duology, but I'm not 100% sure. The sequel does come out soon. I will probably just read the audiobook, but I am definitely intrigued enough to continue the series, even though I didn't love the first book. Then I also started the Courting Darkness duology by Robin LaFevis. This is the kind of companion sequel duology to the His Fair Assassin trilogy. I loved Courting Darkness so much. I mean, I love the His Fair Assassin trilogy, but Courting Darkness was a great addition to the series, and I am so excited for the second book to come out in June. Definitely one of my most anticipated releases of this entire year, and just absolutely cannot wait to see how the story wraps up kind of the second time around. Then I also started the An Absolutely Remarkable Thing duology by Hank Green. I'm pretty sure I've heard him say that it is going to be a duology and that the next book, A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor, is going to be the final book in this series. I'm pretty sure it comes out this summer. Let me look this up actually, because why not? But definitely the sequel to An Absolutely Remarkable Thing is one of my most anticipated releases of the year as well. It comes out in July. Yes, I'm very, very excited about it. I will probably also read the audiobook because I enjoyed the audiobook for An Absolutely Remarkable Thing quite a lot, but cannot wait to see where the story is going to go. Then I started the Steel Prince graphic novel series. I'm going to be quite frank with you. The reason why I want to continue the series is because it is V.E. Schwab and because it is set in the Shades of Magic world. Other than that, really didn't love the first graphic novel, and if I didn't have that attachment, I think this would definitely be a series that I DNF'd. And I mean, the second volume is out, maybe even the third volume at this point, and I haven't read it yet. I only read the first one. Do not care much about it, I'm gonna be quite honest, even though it hurts for me to say that, but I do want to continue and finish this graphic novel series eventually. Then I started the Girl Meets Duke series by Tessa Dare. I read the first two books in that series, The Duchess Deal and The Governess Game. And I don't know how many books there are going to be in this series, but the third book, The Wallflower Wager, has already come out. I didn't get to it yet, but I am definitely very excited to continue this series because I just really love Tessa Dare's writing, actually. I mean, with historical romance or with romance series in general, because they're usually companion sequels, it's kind of like hit or miss in a lot of cases. You either will like the characters or not, but I loved both The Duchess Deal and then I loved The Governess Game even more. It was one of my favorite books of 2019, so I cannot wait to continue the series, and I'm very excited to just see what other characters we're going to meet in this kind of world. Then I started the Kiss Quotient series by Helen Huang. I read both the first book, The Kiss Quotient, and The Bride Test, and the third book actually I think only comes out in 2021, and I'm not sure if that's going to be like, finishing this series or if there's going to be more books, but I am definitely interested. I didn't love The Bride Test. I absolutely loved The Kiss Quotient, one of my favorite books of 2019 as well. The Bride Test was fine, I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. So this is one of those series where I'm like, by the time the third book comes out, I'm not really sure if I will still really be interested in continuing the series. But then again, with these romance companion series, it's like, it's not like I have to remember many things. So probably when it comes out, I will just see if my library has the audiobook and just read that. Then I started the Feminine Pursuit series by Olivia Wade. The first book was The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics. I am not sure how many books there are going to be in the series. I'm not even sure. I would hope that the whole series is female-female romance, but I'm not even 100% sure. I'm going to tell you straight up. I liked the first book quite a lot, but if the rest of the series is not female-female romance, we'll probably not continue. But I would assume so. I would very much hope so. Fingers crossed. Then I started the Forbidden Hearts trilogy by Alicia Rai. The first book was Hate to Want You, and I definitely very much enjoyed it. Definitely want to continue. I'm pretty sure this is a finished trilogy that's been finished for a bit as well. I just haven't gotten to the rest yet. Then I started the Serpent and Dove series by Shelby Maharin. I am not sure if it's going to be a trilogy. I kind of feel like this has huge duology potential, and I would kind of hope it's a duology. I gotta be honest, I have forgotten many things about the first book, so this is definitely one of those cases where I'm like, will I actually read the second book by the time it comes out? But I think if it is only a duology, then I think I will. If it ends up being a trilogy, I'm not sure if I will be invested enough to want to continue it, and wait for the sequel for another year. I do think there was like huge potential in the first book, and I definitely remember that when I finished Serpent and Dove, I was very much like, I want to know how this goes on, but now I don't remember what happened in that book, so this one is a little bit like, who knows what's going to happen. Then I started the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. The first book is All Systems Red, and this is a novella series. I think for the rest of the series, I think there's 4 books overall. I think for the rest of them, I'm just going to check out the audiobooks. I've heard pretty great things about the audiobooks. I am not like super interested in continuing this series. I buddy read the first book with Melanie, and I think, if we're just planning to buddy read the rest of the series together, I'm definitely in. But again, for me, it will probably be the audiobooks. Then I started the Eldest Curses by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. The first book was The Red Scrolls of Magic. This is the Magnus and Alec kind of spin-off from, I don't even want to call it really a spin-off, but like it's not one of the main Shadowhunter series, and obviously I am a huge Shadowhunter fan. I loved this first book quite a lot. I cannot wait to read more in this series. This series makes my heart incredibly happy. Like, it's just what we deserve, and it's just beautiful. It just makes my heart incredibly happy. Don't know what else to say. When does that next book come out, actually? I haven't heard anything about it. These were all the series that I have started in 2019. Let's get to the couple of series that I completed. There weren't too many, but there were a couple. And the first one I'm very proud of because it is a series that I started and finished in 2019. And that is the Charlotte Holmes series by Brittany Cavallero, A Study in Charlotte, The Last of August, The Case for Jamie, and the fourth book, A Question of Holmes, which was a 2019 release as well. This is one of my favorite series of all time. These are some of my favorite books of 2019 as well. Absolutely in love with this series. No wonder I immediately started and finished this because it's just that good. And I'm very attached to these characters and I miss them. Then I think I finished the Reluctant Royals trilogy by Alyssa Cole. I actually just realized that I have no idea if this is gonna be a trilogy or if there are gonna be more books. I always just assumed it was a trilogy, and it doesn't say anything on Goodreads right now, but I'm like, who knows? Maybe there are gonna be more books in the future, which in that case I will definitely 100% be in. But I did read the whole trilogy in 2019. Oh god, I get so confused with the years. I read the whole trilogy in 2019 plus the 2 novellas. I love this whole trilogy. A Duke by Default especially is one of my favorite books of 2019. And again, if there would ever be more books in this series, I would absolutely be in. I love these characters. I mean, I would say this is probably my favorite romance series I've read in 2019. And the only other series that I finished in 2019, which I cannot believe, and this is another one of those things where I'm like, I need to do better in 2020, is the Folk of the Air trilogy by Holly Black. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I am really proud of myself that I did end up finishing this series despite the final book coming out in a time where I was not reading at all. But still, I started that book, you know, when it hit midnight on release day and finish it in a couple of days. I have mixed feelings about this series. I wasn't the biggest fan of the first book, absolutely loved The Wicked King, and then mostly just felt disappointed by The Queen of Nothing, if I'm quite honest. I really thought I would love it after The Wicked King, and I just didn't. But still really, really love this trilogy, and again, just very proud of myself for finishing that despite where I was at reading-wise. Now let's get to the pretty substantial list of DNFs in 2019. The first series that I DNF'd was Skybound by Alex London. I read the first book, Black Wings Beating, in 2019. Didn't really enjoy it. Didn't want to continue the series. Then I also DNF'd the Snow Like Ashes trilogy by Sarah Rash. I finally read the first book, Snow Like Ashes, in 2019, and while I enjoyed it overall, I think that this first book totally could have stood on its own, and I just very much felt like the rest of the series would be unnecessary. Like, obviously, you know, there were things at the end of that book that would make you want to keep reading if you're really invested, but I just wasn't, and I felt like this first book was fine enough as it is, and I just didn't really feel like, you know, putting more time into this series. Then I DNF'd The Girl From Everywhere duology by Heidi Heilig. I read the first book, The Girl From Everywhere. I listened to the audiobook. I felt very mediocre about this. I think I was expecting way more from the series, didn't get that at all, and so didn't really have any urge to continue that duology. Then I DNF'd the A Forgery of Magic series by Maya Motain. The first book was Nocturna. I despised Nocturna because it felt like a very, very obvious copy of Shades of Magic, which I'm not the type of person to, you know, say, oh, this feels like a copy of this and that, because it's hard to have original ideas in this day and age. You will, you know, accidentally write something that someone else has written before, but it felt very, very similar. As someone who knows Shades of Magic very well, I felt very uncomfortable just reading that whole book, and I do not want to continue that series in the slightest. Then I also DNF'd the Beholder series by Anna Bright. Read the first book, The Beholder, another one that I just wasn't really a big fan of. I definitely think that, you know, if this was a series that was already finished and I didn't have to wait for the sequel coming out, I might have just like binged my way through it. But I know that by the time the sequel comes out, I will have completely lost investment. Like, I didn't enjoy the book, but I had some points that invested me, if that makes sense. But I just know that by the time the sequel comes out, I will no longer care. So I'm fine letting it go. Then I also decided to DNF the Hot and Hammered series by Tessa Bailey. This is an adult romance series, and while I enjoyed the first book, I literally have zero urge to continue the series. I think that, you know, even though I enjoyed the first one, I think it's just not really my type of adult romance. I just think it's not really the type of romance, just the way that it's written, that I enjoy, and so I don't want to continue the series. Then I also decided to DNF the These Witches Don't Burn series by Isabel Sterling. I read the first book, These Witches Don't Burn, in 2019. I felt okay about it. I didn't even know it was going to be a series when I picked the first book up. It is a contemporary. It has like witchy elements, but at the end of the day, it's still very much a contemporary to me, and I just don't care. Oh, that's all of them. I thought there was going to be more. So yeah, these are all of the series that I started, finished, and DNF'd in 2019. Definitely wasn't my strongest series reading year, even though I had some big plans. Let's just ignore the fact that I did a whole series to marathon in 2019 video. Like, we're just not gonna talk about that, you know? But still had some really, really great series. Obviously, a lot of adult romance. Next year would want to have more fantasy series on my list again, both the started and the finished, but overall just glad that I got to sneak in a couple of series, even if a lot of them were like companion series. But yeah, let me know how your series reading was in 2019. Did you read a lot? Did you read not so much? Do you want to read more? Let me know. And yeah, I make new videos sometimes, so click subscribe to never miss anything and hit the little bell so you can notify as well. And thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon. Bye.